We are today what we are because of our believing. We will be tomorrow what we believe also. We are today where we are because of our believing. We will be tomorrow what we believe, and we will be tomorrow where our believing takes us. No one ever rises beyond what he is able to believe, and no one can believe more than what he's taught, and no one can teach any more than what he knows. In 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2, this tremendous truth is set forward for us to understand. Listen to this. 1 Corinthians 12:2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. The reason these people were serving dumb idols, they were idols of wood or stone. The reason they were serving these idols was because someone had led them to serve idols, even as ye were led. No one rises beyond where he's led. No one can believe any more than what he's taught. The reason you believe what you believe is because of what you've been taught. The reason you think the way you think is because of the way you were led. You know, once you have the greatness of the promises of God and believe those, God's ability equals his willingness, and it'll always come into concretion. There is only one thing that ever defeats the believer. Only one, in the least common denominator. That is when you take all the shrouds off and all the paraphernalia off and get down to the least common denominator. There's only one thing that ever defeats any person from manifesting more abundant life, and that's fear. Fear is the believer's only enemy in its least common denominator. This is why I speak of fear as being man's greatest enemy. Fear is sand in the machinery of life. When we have fear, and where we have fear, we cannot, you just cannot believe God and have faith. Fear, my friend, has ruined more ministries and more Christian lives than any other thing in the world. Men have wonderful ministries. They come out and they want to do wonderful things for God and set forth the greatness of the power of God. And lo and behold, many of them get inside of the church, and before they know it, the machinery of the organized system gets to them, and the man is held in. He is restrained. He is bound like. He'd really like to do something, but he can't move forth in his ministry because he is afraid. I have counseled with many, many ministers through these years, and if there's any one thing that has ever defeated them, it's fear. They're afraid to walk into something because of what somebody may say, or somebody may hand them their hat and say, unless you do so-and-so, just take a look. You see, people cause fear, and this fear binds men, have real ministries, but the ministries is within these men becomes bound because of fear. This is why fear has ruined more men's ministries than any other thing I know. Afraid of what the head deacon or the head elder may say. I don't know why, because the deacons don't deacon, the elders don't el anyways. So why should we be afraid? But this is what binds them. This is what ties them up. This is why fear has ruined more ministers than any other thing in the whole world. And it has ruined more individual Christian lives than anything else I know. You see, when we talked about the law of believing, the greatest law in the world, to believe is a verb. A verb connotes action. And we're always going to be believing, either positively or negatively, because everything in life is contingent upon believing. And when people believe negatively, and negative believing is just as much believing as positive believing. This is why we have to recognize this law of believing, both the negative side and the positive side. On the negative side, this law of believing works with a mathematical exactness and with a scientific precision. You see, fear is believing. Fear is believing. It's a law. Believing is a law. As you believe, you receive. For all believing equals receiving, all receiving equals believing. On the negative side, to believe, fear is believing. But it is believing in reverse. It's believing in reverse. And so it produces wrong results. Because it's wrong believing, it produces negative results, wrong results. But the point I want you to see very clearly, that fear is believing. It works with that same law of mathematical exactness and scientific precision with which the positive side works. But I first want to handle the negative side in this class, to make this thing living and real for you, to see that fear is a law. For instance, if you fear your job, you're afraid of your job or afraid of holding your job, you know what's going to happen to you? You're going to lose your job. If you're afraid of a disease, and boy, today we sure are, aren't we? We're always being told day after day, be careful or this is going to get you the disease. Do this and this will catch up with you. If you're afraid of catching a disease, I'll bet on you you're going to catch it. Because the law is that what you fear you're going to receive, because it's believing. It's believing. People have a fear of the future. They have a fear of death. Fear always encases. Fear always enslaves. Fear always binds you. This is why it's a law. This occurs to us because it is a law. And the law works for saint and sinner alike. Has nothing to do with whether you're a Christian or an unchristian. Whether you're a believer or unbeliever in Christ. Nothing to do with it. Because the law of believing, whosoever shall say to that mountain, go dump in the lake, and believe what he says and not doubt, he's going to get what he believes. So when you believe in fear, you're going to receive the results or the consequences of your believing.